spent a lot of time telling people that, if not you, who, and if not now, when. And I realized that much of the time we have to take our own advice, and I might venture to guess that you had to do much of the same thing. But the bottom line for me was, I think public service is so important, and that having voices, having opportunities to talk about issues in a smart way, to reach out to people who feel like they don't have a voice, that we can do better together, and changing the conversation, that we don't have to choose between policy that is good for people and helping people and policy that actually encourages economic growth and development. And so I think what was going through my head is, okay, if not me, who? If not now, when? And so I did it. One of the hardest things that I had to overcome was just on the days where it was really hard, just knowing that it was the right thing. When you get really tired and frustrated, that just going back to that place of why. And I think that was it. When you would run into people that just weren't willing to listen. But I often found that those hard days were followed by times when there was just another confirmation of someone who was getting involved for the first time, who told me their story about their challenges or their family and what they were concerned about. That kind of backed up those hard days and kept it going. I don't understand fundamentally the narrative that business is bad. In fact, I think business is good. I think it's an exciting and an important thing for us to encourage economic development and growth, and tech startups, especially places that are people that are going to come in and invest in these communities and create good paying jobs and help people build their roots here. But at the same time, we've all got to do our part. And I think that, to me, is at the heart of it. That policies that don't overregulate or underregulate, that they're right size, are a whole lot better than the absence of or the overburdening of regulations. You have to be willing to take the risk, but it's got to be a smart risk, a calculated risk, that there's something behind it. You've got a reason that you're doing it. You've got an idea and you have a plan. You got to have heart and head to it, and then you got to be willing to roll up your sleeves and do the work in between, because it's messy and it's uncertain and you're always facing unknowns, but that's where a lot of the discoveries happen. So there was this little girl that was sitting at a table working on something, and I just went over to her and I asked her what she was working on. She started telling me about her project, and I just was asking questions. Didn't tell her who I was. I just told her my first name. And one of the board members who was there said, "Do you know who she is?" And the board member said, "She represents you in Congress." And this little girl, just like, her eyes got as big as saucers, and she jumped up out of her seat. She said, "Oh, you're Kendra Horn." And she gave me this big hug, and she said, "I want to run for office someday. I want to be president." And this little girl, who is in a school that is the vision of Oklahomans to serve their friends and neighbors who are experiencing hard times, to give their children a foundation that they can build on, to see what's possible, to be able to inspire little girls like that, to know that they can do more, that they don't have to be limited by their circumstances, but that there are people around them that are going to create pathways that they can follow. That's what I want to be a part of. That's what this means. It takes heart, head, and hands. You've got to have that three-legged stool. You got to have your heart in it. It has to be for the right reasons. You got to have your head in it, so you have to have a plan. and you have to do the work. There's really no shortcut to using all three of those things. And you can only do what's next. You can't do it all at once. Nobody has done anything of significance all at once. But you should never underestimate your ability to affect change. If you are using your heart, your head, your hands, you can make a huge difference in the world. But it is one step at a time that gets you there.